The Filter Free Diary. Uh,
Good morning. It's almost like 8 in the morning or so. Okay, so to try and finish my story. um, so in 2019, I lost my job. And at that point, I was working from home. So I had this little home office I would go into where I had my computer set up and my music set up. And I used to just like log in and start work. But when I lost my job, I would go into that little office and I start just, job hunting and stuff. So I'd be in that office for like 8 hours. And the thing is, when you're not trying to, do work, when you're just looking for work, time goes a lot slower. And it didn't take me long before, I lose interest in looking for a job and just start thinking and having that dedicated time to think is really what started changing things. Like about a month went by before I had my first vision. I can't even equate that any other way. I was walking through the living room and I felt like an itch in my hand. And I looked down at my hand and suddenly I saw an apple in my hand. And the apple had like a light coming from inside of it. So that when it glowed, because it was a glowing apple, it almost looked gold. But you could still see like the red on the outside, but it was being illuminated by a light on the inside. So it was like gold with a tint of red. And I swear to God, I stared at this apple in my hand for like, I don't know. Like it was going on 10 seconds before someone else in the room was like, "Are you okay?" And I looked up from the apple and I was looking at a scene of I was outside and I was on a plateau and there were valleys around me. And I was looking across like thousands of miles across this plateau. It was almost like looking at the Grand Canyon, but it wasn't all red rock. It was more like green hills and gray stone and blue water in the valleys. And then I looked back in my hand because I was like, holy fuck, where the fuck am I? And I looked back in my hand to see if the apple was still there. And the apple wasn't there. It was just my hand. And then I looked around again and I was back in my fucking house. And the person was like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "That's a good question. I think I'm going to go back to my office and study, work, think, be by myself." Because I didn't tell him that I saw an apple in my hand, and I didn't tell him that I was in a different place. But I'm pretty sure it was pretty obvious. Kind of hard to recover when you lose touch with reality like that. And that was the first one. And that only lasted like 10 seconds or so, maybe 20 seconds at most. But that happened to me in 2019, and I have never, ever been taken out of reality and left in a dream while I'm awake. That was fucking weird. And that was just the first one. There are more. And I'm gonna tell you all of them. Because you're not gonna believe this shit if I don't tell you all the things. So I gotta tell you all the things. But yeah, so So that was the first weird thing that happened when I lost my job in 2019. The next weird thing that happened, and I'll tell you about this one next time because it's a little bit longer. It was it was a whole fucking scene. It wasn't just, an apple and scenery. It was like a whole fucking story. And I'm sure I'll tell you about that one tomorrow. Life's so crazy. I wish I could say it's getting less crazy, but life still looks like it's really crazy. And as weird as it is to say, is I think I'm stepping out of the crazy. Is that crazy? Bye.